from Goldcast Studios, I'm Lindsay McGuire, Associate Director of Content and Campaigns at Goldcast. Welcome to Event Marketers Live. If you've joined us here before, you're not surprised to see me in a newsroom. But for those whose first time it is, what do you think? Pretty snazzy, eh? The holiday season is here, and as we wrap up the year, we are doing a lot of reflecting. What's working, what's not, and what we can do differently next year. Any highlights from the year you want to share? We'd love to hear about it in the chat. And no doubt many of you are in the midst of 2024 planning. Let us know how you're approaching your event marketing strategy for 2024 as well. We'd love to know more. Over in the Event Marketers Club, trending topics include leadership strategy and B2B event marketing, event outsourcing, and hiring strategies. We've also noticed an uptick in our city-based chapters meeting up in person across the globe, which we always love to see. Get a rundown of all available chapters and their leaders over on our LinkedIn page. If you're not already in our Event Marketers Club, I encourage you to join so you can network with local and global event professionals like yourself. You can also check out the resources tab to learn more and join the community today. Now, it's almost time to get started, so let us know you're here by dropping a message in the chat. Where are you tuning in from? What's on your Christmas list? We want to know. But also, it wouldn't be the holidays without some great gifts. So check out the chat to learn more about how to win. And if you haven't heard about our upcoming Frosty Fest, check out that event as well. More info in the chat. Now, over to you, Belinda, for a fun B2B conversation that's sure to be pure gold.
Hello. Awesome. Thank you so much, Lindsay. And I swear, every time I see it, I'm still digging that gold jacket. I love it. I love the vibe. So hey, everybody, welcome to Event Marketers Live. I am your host, Belinda Joseph. And I have to tell you guys, I am so excited for today's episode. We have some amazing event marketers joining me on the stage shortly. So really excited for our conversation. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we jump in, I do want to make a quick announcement. We have so many awesome things coming up, and I can't wait to share all the good things with you guys. But first things first, Lindsay mentioned that we have some prizes, which is true. We are actually going to be giving away 2 $50 Amazon gift cards to one of you lucky attendees. So in order to be eligible to win one of these gift cards, I just need you guys to do like one of 2 things, or maybe you feeling a little extra, want to do a little bit more, and that's great too. But all you need to do, drop a message in the chat. We want to know what you guys are doing in 2024. We're in the midst of planning, like Lindsay mentioned. So I'm sure you guys probably have some things that you're brewing around in your head, maybe some plans, some exciting new events you might be trying out for next year. So please do share with us your plans for 2024. Or if you have a question for one of our speakers, drop that into the Q&A tab, which is right to your in the right side of your panel there. So do one or both of those things, and it could possibly win you an Amazon gift card. Who doesn't want a little extra cash for some holiday spending? So awesome. So definitely do that. And then let's just go ahead and drop, let's get it right into our discussion. Excuse me, sorry, getting all tongue-tied today. But yes, very excited to bring on our guest speakers. We have both Danielle and Karen joining me on the stage. So ladies, please do come up. Hey, Karen.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to you both. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, first things first, before we jump in, I'm going to have you guys both do a quick little intro and background. But I got to give Danielle a little shout out first because she celebrated a birthday earlier in the week. So huge happy birthday to Danielle.
Thank you.
Drop a birthday gift in the chat and help us celebrate and say happy birthday.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Awesome.
30 something over here. Yeah.
Well, I hope you had a good celebration or at least have some birthday weekend plans. So
definitely, we celebrated last weekend, and I, scheduled time to recover because it's not like how it used to be, right? So,
I hear you.
And on my actual birthday, not a lot of people go get their freebies enough, and I got my free Starbucks, my free crumble cookie, my free Ulta product, my free Chick-fil-A. So it was great.
Love it.
Good for you.
Great.
Well, Danielle, I'll have you kick things off first. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Give us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm Danielle. I go by Danny, whatever. I've been here at Software AG for going on 5 years in February. Super excited. Shout out to Software AG. But actually, we were talking about, where we all started from in one of our calls. And I started out in hospitality straight out of school. And I worked over here. I'm located in, right outside of Washington, D.C., by the way. So I worked over here at the Gaylord National for a few years and kind of started things off there. It's always a nice foundation to have under your belt, hospitality. I mean, it sinks into everything at some point. And so after RFK Stadium, then I had another fun gig over RFK Stadium when DC United was still there. Now it's going through a bit of a transition. And then after that's when I got to the corporate side. So honestly, I've dabbled in probably every type of event you can imagine, from the fun marathons or outdoor festivals to the huge trade shows. And now my focus is really primarily, virtual events and webinars. So it's been a ride.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, welcome again. All right, Karen, introduce yourself.
Hi. Yeah. Hi. My name is Karen Hartline, and I reside in downtown Las Vegas, old school Las Vegas. I've been in Vegas for about 10 years and downtown for 2. I love it. It's not the Strip, but you still get that fun flair. So lots of fun things happening. I've been in events for over 19 years. I was counting the other day and thought, I'm not old enough to be in events for 19 years, but we'll skip over that. I've done a lot. I started in nonprofit work and had my own agency for a while, for almost 7 years. I worked for a media company. I did a little bit of time in PR, working on events and sponsorships. And I eventually, after I had my company, I decided I wanted to go in-house to really build more of an event strategy. And I just started this last May at Zillow as the executive producer of live content. And I love it. I get to focus on the beautiful stage and presenting the story and all of those great things, audience engagement. And it's a nice break from doing all of the logistics for the events and kind of focusing on one area. But there's a lot to talk about. So I'll stop rambling and I'll let you take it over.
So basically what I'm hearing here is we have a whole bunch of knowledge, lots of experience between the both of you, lots of years of experience, lots of skill sets. And I love that you guys both have come from like the agency side of things, the hospitality, because best of both worlds. Like, you've done it all. So I love it. I love it. And this is why I'm excited. So with that, let's jump right into our first segment of hacks and hot takes. So the purpose of this segment, right, is to help us to find ways, get some tips and advice on how to be more, efficient and productive in our roles. And so definitely want to hear from both of you. Karen, I'm going to start with you first. And, tell us, I think you have some tips for us in terms of how to, a little personal productivity hack, especially from your agency days. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Like I said, I ran my agency for about 7 years. I had 10 full-time employees and up to 20 contractors that I could pull from, depending on the size of the events that we were doing. And I learned early on that the secret to scalability was going to be documenting processes and having templates. So, we especially learned that we had a shorter lead time. And even now, post-COVID, I feel like people think we can spin up events in 2 months or less, which is crazy. So it really helped to have those kind of outlined, think through what's the process. You can onboard people a lot quicker by outlining those processes. But it just helps to know that you're not missing something as you're scaling your business or doing lots of events. You have the framework down and you can just jump right in whenever you need to. So I do have a few examples. Belinda, if you want to run that first video, and I'll talk over them a little bit. These are some examples of our production timeline or work back plan. Hopefully you can see that. It's a lot. But my partner and I developed this. It was 150 top level tasks, really, of things that needed to get done, whether it was our team, a client, whether it was the core team, what was the category that it was in, was it marketing, registration? And what was beautiful about this, if you look at the task due date, 1899 or whatever, that's a long time ago, but we created it where you can enter the date of the actual event and it will update your timeline. Like, super quick, very easy. And so we use this really as our starting point whenever we had a client sign on to say, hey, okay, we need to get marketing in place. We need to think about registration. We need to find a venue. And then this is just a quick example of our playbook. You can see in the table of contents here, we have everything. And as a template, it looks like it's only 11 pages, but really with an event, it could get up to 30, 40, 50 pages, depending on how big your event is. And it includes everything, pictures of clients. It includes things like where's the nearest UPS or FedEx location, because you always have to ship stuff out after an event. And also your emergency plan. I think more and more we're becoming aware that we need to have an emergency plan outline. That goes in here, all of your vendor contacts. And we used to print this off and have it in our hands. So it basically was like our Bible. It had every piece of information in it and we could all go to it. So just a couple of examples there.
Amazing. No, thank you for sharing that. And I think to your point, right, it is very crucial to have, documented processes and having these templates in place. And I think it's smart, right, especially when you're onboarding your new team. And it made me think about when I first started getting into events, and I had my first event boss, and she would always say, God forbid, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, like I want my team to be able to know like what to do. They can still move forward, like they can still continue and they know exactly what needs to be done, where to find information. So having these documents in place and not making sure that your team is completely, aligned on where to find this information, and, staying informed. So,
and with COVID too, you can get to an event and all of a sudden somebody gets sick. And so you need to be able to understand what needs to actually happen on site to cover that person's role. So
exactly.
Great point. And then just kind of a personal event marketing hot take for you too. You can go ahead and start the video. So at Zillow, we run an annual event that's called Unlock. And this year we wanted to kind of develop the theme a little bit so that it was unlock everything. And me being the producer of the stage, we had this beautiful LED screen. And I thought, how can we bring that theme really to the stage to give a little bit of a sprinkle of the theme and hint at what the content is going to cover. So we developed this motion graphic that we ran both on our main stage screen, and then we scaled it down for our breakout so it could run on just regular 16:9 screens. But you can see, again, Zillow, we're in the real estate and marketing area. So unlock listings, unlock relationships, unlock people, there's just a lot of opportunities here. And I loved it because it was a great way I could bring that theme into what I was actually doing with the state. So if you have a theme or you're looking at different ways throughout your event, think how you can weave that in. It doesn't have to just be in the app or on signage, but how are you bringing that theme to life a little more?
Yeah. That was always a fun exercise for me whenever having to put the theme together. Yeah, there's just so many different things you could do, like, from the branding, from the content, just even down to the food, right? There's just so many fun things that you can experiment with it. Yeah.
And it's not just a logo. You can get creative with
it. Exactly. Awesome. All right, Danielle, how about you? Any hot takes or tips for us?
Yeah, sure. I have a few. Karen, I loved yours. I'm definitely, I call it the Bible, your version of the playbook. The whole time you're going through it, I'm like, oh, that's my Bible. Like you said, it's like the tell all document, right? And that branding looked amazing. So I'm gonna have to get some notes from you. That looked really cool. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here, or not share my screen, but pull up my presentation. There we go. So like I said before, right now I'm mostly focused on virtual events, virtual webinar planning, but I do feel like that this could kind of be used for in-person events as well. So take it, adjust it as you like. Yeah, very true. So first I want to start by saying my theory, my hope, or hopefully my vision really is I would love to start seeing more of virtual event-led event planning. When you're going down and you're planning for the year, I think it would be so valuable to leverage what you're getting from virtual events to help plan your in-person events. Let your audience dictate where your in-person presence should be. Let them tell you where they want to see you. And follow their lead. I used to love my trade shows. I still do love my trade shows. I don't know if you can see in my background. I have an old booth imagery up there on my shelf. And so, seeing it come to life and attending the trade shows, a lot of my colleagues on here, actually shout out to my colleagues, just got back from AWS. So I love my trade shows, I do, but sometimes, the math doesn't math. The math isn't mathing, right? So you put in a lot more into it than sometimes you get out. There are ones that are always worthwhile, don't get me wrong, but I would love to start seeing more of a virtual event-led event plan. And so for me, I always start with what I call flashing forward. We're getting to the end of the year, start of a new year. What is everyone talking about in leadership? Our goals, staying aligned with our goals. What do we see, the rest of the business doing, looking forward? What do we want to focus on going into the new year? So join those company-wide calls. Sometimes, you don't think it's relevant to you, but it always is. Listening to what, the rest of the business is doing, where they want to see things going. If you can't join a call, talk to the closest leadership you have to you and get more information on this. And then you can always dig deeper, talk to your product team. They might all have their own particular product goals. And even your own events team might have goals too, something to think about. So how can your event support this? It was really funny. As I was typing the slide the other day, I was listening to another webinar in the background, and the speaker says, don't focus on goals. And I just stopped mid-type, like, what? No, that's what I'm saying right now. Focus on goals. But his point was, don't just focus on the end goal. Focus on the activities leading up to the goal. And that's where you come into play. And, I'll circle back around to that later on in this slide. But I thought that was a good tidbit, is focus on the activities getting to the goal, not just the goal. So then after that, flashback. I think we all know this at this point. Data is gold. Data is everything. So look at your numbers to gain insight. Ask your marketing ops team to pull reports from you that maybe you don't have intel on, to see, for me, seeing where our attendees are joining from different regions. And seeing where you might have, those low attendance rates. So something I did and I looked into was seeing where we needed to focus on in terms of areas we can get more attendees from. And, before I took over our global webinar program, it was a big thing to host all of our webinars between like the 7 a.m. time to 10 a.m. time, Eastern Standard Time, right? That's what's going to gain the most traction globally. And there is no universal time that is going to work for everyone globally. You are going to be missing a chunk of people. So we actually, started implementing replays. So we show our live event and then replay it in different time zones. And we saw a huge increase in all of our Americas. We saw an increase in our APJ attendees too. So looking at those numbers and figuring out like where you might need to revisit, where you need to adjust things, that's of course, insanely important. And then that's when you get into building the foundation. So something I do is I build out a blank calendar, and I have a cadence with all of my product teams here at Software AG, and they're pretty used to the cadence by this time. Each team might have a day set aside where it's like the first Wednesday or second Thursday is their day to have a webinar every month. And each team actually has 2 webinars that they're committed to every month, because we want to make sure that we're grabbing people at different ends of the funnel. So we have our awareness stage level webinar, high level, meant to grasp people with more of like an introduction of who we are, what we do. And then we have the webinars that's, okay, these people want to dig a little bit deeper. They've engaged with us a lot. This is more, technical maybe, and meeting people more at the bottom of the funnel. Building that consistency is going to help for better reporting when it's time to really get a grasp of numbers and seeing what's truly working and what's not. And then also just, you can always adjust the dates going back, but it gives your stakeholders something to work with to start out with. Like, here's a starting date, especially when you're working with external speakers. Okay, if I need to go back and adjust, I can. So that's my next step. And then finally, that's when I go back and I look at, okay, what are my bells and whistles? So, thinking about, again, what's our focal point this year? Something that we've been rolling out is, Super iPass. If you want to look it up and see what it's about, and we're trying to focus integration and add in this AI component. We're one of the first companies to do it, and so our marketing team had a great set of road shows where they had our farewell tour, and it's saying goodbye to the old version of this product and introducing the new. And so me, from my standpoint, thinking of the virtual side of things, and okay, this is the end goal. How can I continue with these activities to continue to this goal? I've been joining all of Goldcast Master Your Series classes, and now I'm feeling ready to launch my own series next year to keep this momentum going. So looking at that, and that's something I'm adding into my concrete plan. Maybe I'm not going to be able to do 5 series next year, but it's something that's going to add to what our focal point is as a company. So that is kind of my take on when you're planning for the year. And building out that event and webinar plan. And then my second take, I think this is common in a lot of companies, is my alignment with sales, strong? Are we always on the same page? Are they doing what I think they're doing? So my tip here is a lot more simple than my first tip for you, and it's call them. Call them, talk. So in a remote day of work, it's like, wait, you want me to do what? Pick up the phone and talk to someone like person to person? As you can tell, I'm in an office, so I'm not really giving into this whole remote thing completely. I'm not completely sold yet. But yes, when I first, got into this role, taking over our global webinars, I had meetings with a lot of different people in marketing to really learn what's been working, what hasn't, what had been going on with webinars before I got in this role. And when I would ask anything about sales, it was always, well, they should be doing this with the leads. They should be looking at that. They should. And I'm like, what is this should? But are they? Are they? So I reached out to our marketing operations manager and I said, is there a call I can jump on that you already have set in place where I can talk to our salespeople and find things out directly from them? She's like, yeah, of course. So I wrote up an email and I sent them, it was our sales managers from each region. Like I said, we're global, so I can't get all of sales on one call. There's no universal time, as we already established. But I can inconvenience, a few people. So I jumped on that call. I made sure to send them the set of questions beforehand that I was going to ask them so they could take those questions directly to their SDRs and get feedback right from the horse's mouth. So by the time I was on the call, asking them what's working with your webinar leads. Are they valuable? Are they high quality? How are you prioritizing them? What do you want to see? All this stuff. They were able to really give me valuable, direct feedback. And one of the things that I got from that call, of course, is for everyone across the slate was, when you're inputting things in Salesforce, we don't want to see the abstract. I'm like, wait, what? They said you put the link for their reg page. We can read the link from the reg page. You don't need to copy paste it. They're like, instead, we want to know, what can we ask our attendees now that they've joined the webinar? Like, what are some of the hot takes that would be a good follow-up question? Kind of write us a script on how to start a valuable, connection with our sales. So yeah, that would be my 2 hot takes with plans. And for sales, call them up.
Yeah. Awesome. Have a conversation. I love it. All right. Yeah. Well, we're going to need to move into our next segment, which is actually one of my favorites. And this is Dear Goldcast. So we invite our listeners to submit a question and, give them some real-time advice. So let's jump into it. All right. So I know we have a letter here, and I think this is going to fall right in your wheelhouse, guys. Let's go ahead and play the audio for that letter.
Hi team, I'm an event marketer for a B2B tech company and have been tasked with developing our event strategy for the upcoming year. We have had a solid track record of turning our events into pipeline gold, and leadership has expressed a keen interest in allocating additional budget to further elevate our event initiatives. While it's important that we be able to maintain the success of our current events, we need to be able to scale our program to reach and engage a more global audience. Any tips on what strategies we can employ to attract a more diverse audience to our events? How can we leverage the latest technologies to enhance attendee experiences and ensure seamless engagement? Additionally, what are some innovative approaches to generating revenue without compromising the integrity of the event experience? Sincerely, a fellow marketing enthusiast.
All right. So we got questions on, how to go about developing a good event strategy going into next year. And of course, branching out into a more global audience. So I'm going to go ahead and open the floor to you guys. Karen, any initial thoughts there on how to answer this question?
Well, first off, I love that you're getting additional budget to do that. So kudos to leadership for recognizing that, hey, let's put a little more money towards this. My first suggestion is to consider online events and look at, how can that help with reaching new audiences as well as engaging your in-person audiences in a different way. So, someone recently shared with me an idea to actually pre-record some of the content that you would maybe present on a stage at an in-person event, and then send that before the event to get your audience excited about what's coming for the event. So you could use that almost as a marketing video, or if you're using it as a conversion video to make sure that people are actually getting to the event, one of the two. But it creates excitement about what's going to be shared on site, and then also allows you to free up some of your time in person so you can have longer Q&A or networking time, which we're finding more and more from feedback that attendees are actually looking to do. There was the question about generating revenue without compromising the integrity of the event experience. And one of my favorite marketing tactics is to actually offer your VIP attendees a free ticket to give to someone that they thought would maybe contribute or add to the event. So think about your attendees who are coming year over year over year, or a company that sends a whole group of people. Reach out to them, tell them what you're doing. They're not going to be dumb, and they know that you're looking to expand your audience, obviously, but it's a perk for them. Maybe they're inviting one of their customers who's in the same wheelhouse and would be interested in the content that's presented at the event. So you won't get ticket revenue, but it could definitely help your pipeline with new attendees, more sales opportunities, different things like that. And then I love the idea of creating an attendee journey all the way through. So think about, what is your marketing to get them signed up for the event? But then what are all the different journeys that they could take? Are they a first timer? Are they a repeat attendee? Are they in our wheelhouse we're looking at, are they an agent coming solo, or are they with kind of a partner or an agency that's coming, and different people have different needs. So basically think through those journeys from pre to post event. What does that look like? Really map that out. And then taking a page from Miss Taylor Swift, Times Person of the Year, let's give it up for the woman. I love how she does her Easter eggs, and her community digs for those, dissects those. And so I would love to see an event do Easter eggs kind of throughout your year until you get to your flagship event. And what does that look like? So some creative suggestions there. If you're doing Easter eggs, I want to know, because I want to go look.
No, you kind of given me a moment of nostalgia there, because that was one of my favorite exercises, was creating that journey and that experience for each of your attendees. Yes. And that was something the team and I did for every one of our annual user conferences. We would sit down and we would create a plan for each of the attendee types. So for prospects versus customers versus VIPs versus first timers, to your point, right? And then deciding, okay, what do we want each of them to think, feel, and do before the event, during the event, and after event? Like, what is that going to look like? So that was always something I enjoyed doing every year. Yeah.
It can't be the same thing for everyone. I mean, how often does one size really fit all? Let's be real. So yeah, I think as marketers, that's something we need to start embracing, and figuring out how do we create those journeys, and how do we customize or personalize or make everyone feel welcome throughout that journey.
Yeah, try to create as much of a customized, personalized experience as you can for each
Absolutely.
of them. Yeah, awesome. All right, Danielle, how about you? Any advice for our writer?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I hope you're getting some feedback from the events that you're seeing as your most successful, because those events really should be your blueprints. As you said, if they've been gold, if you're not, please start to, really, because that should tell you everything you need to know if you're asking the right questions. Now, similar to what Karen mentioned, virtual events are amazing when it comes to expanding your reach. And I'm starting to believe hybrid is making a comeback. I feel like it was, we weren't sure, during COVID, and it wasn't, that great. But I think event tech is starting to catch up. So 2 things I'll say to this is, me personally, like I mentioned earlier, I'm fully leaning into webinar replays. It's now becoming a standard here. All of our product units, once product teams want to do the same thing, where we have one landing page for our webinars, but we offer it in 3 different time zones. So we'll run it truly live in a true America's time zone, that accommodates to all of this side. And then we'll take that recording and we'll just upload it to the next one that plays in APJ and the next one that plays in EMEA. And we've seen a significant increase in our attendees for those additional regions. So that's definitely my first suggestion. And then, like I said, hybrid it's coming back and people are really doing it successfully. So I don't know if anyone follows, Figma on LinkedIn. I think it's like a whiteboarding design company, but they've been doing a fabulous job with their user conference. And Belinda, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they utilize Goldcast too. They hosted an in-person user conference in San Francisco, and they live streamed it. And they had over 200,000 global attendees who then on their own took it among themselves to organize and host their own different watch parties everywhere in the world. So it was awesome. So for us, we host, at one point we were hosting virtual user groups. We did it in different time zones. We did it the pre-recorded route. We didn't go, live streaming. That kind of makes my heart race. But I think you have to be really accommodating to the different zones. And then on top of that, adding an additional layer of playing around with closed captioning and translation add-ons, making sure if you're going after that global reach, you're also prioritizing accessibility. There's tons of different add-ons you can add to that, and also add-ons to help with your engagement and keeping the in-person crowd aligned with your virtual crowd. So anywhere from gamification, which has live leaderboards for both parties. For our user group, we did a photo booth where you used your cell phone and you could take a selfie, whether you're in person or joining online. And at the end of the event, it came together and took all the pictures to make a collage. So there's tons of different things, AI matchmaking. I mean, the list goes on. And then lastly, in terms of adding to the revenue, I really do think smaller events are proving how impactful and valuable they can be. So, if you're hosting these virtual events, like I said before, follow where your attendees are and host a roadshow or a dinner series and invite those prospects that are, proving to be towards the bottom of the funnel, and marketing ops can help you tailor that list and see, who's scoring higher or showing more engagement with us and would really benefit from coming to a more intimate in-person event. On the flip side of what Karen said, using content to tease it in the forefront, I'm probably stuck in the stage of using content to tease it on the back end or even repurposing it. So if I'm recording a live in-person event that was awesome, we got a lot of great feedback, which we did for our user conference that was completely in person last year. I'm looking at that content and replaying it as a webinar with maybe just live Q&A. So it's semi-live or tinkering with turning it into a podcast and keeping that content going on that side as well. So something our CMO has been really big on is you want your attendees to self-identify. You want them to start coming to you and make your life easier as well. And so from my aspect, from the virtual event side, I use polls, and again, like you might see on top of your screen, I use my call to action button. So I allow people to come to me and I get some more personalized details. So I'm really making sure that I'm enabling sales to help really support that revenue at the end of the day.
Well, you both came in here dropping lots of gold, little nuggets of gold here, and I appreciate it. So I think a couple of things I really liked, Danielle, you brought up about, your taking your recording of your webinars and you're sharing the recording, for your APJ and EMEA regions. And I think super smart, that's something that we're currently trying to figure out, how can we tap into, the EMEA region? And, obviously a lot of the events that we hold are very accommodating to America, right? So how can we make sure that we're able to share that content to them in their time zone? But then to your point too, right? Making sure it's accessible, and that is so important, right? And I think, again, making sure you're acknowledging the difference in regions and potential different languages, audiences and that you're giving them that content in the format that they need. And then the last thing too, I want to just highlight again, the repurposing of content. Oh my gosh, like I just can't even like emphasize enough like how huge that is and like what an opportunity is to like really continue to like break apart the content and how you can continue to use it in so many different formats and across different channels, right? It's just, you know, you have all this amazing stuff from your speakers and all the different events you run. So why not continue to use that throughout the year?
I just made a joke on LinkedIn, like, let's all follow Beyonce's lead. You know, she had this amazing concert and now she literally made a movie out of it. Content.
So amazing.
Exactly. All right. Well, we got to get to our last segment, which I think is a segment everyone can appreciate. It's a very hot topic right now. So we're going to talk about robots in marketing. All right. So, you know, again, this is something that comes up all the time. We're constantly talking about it. We're talking about how can we incorporate different AI tools to kind of help us be a little bit more efficient in our marketing programs. So super excited to hear from you too and how you're currently using AI tools as part of your planning and your programs. So Karen, I'm going to start with you because I think you're doing actually some pretty cool things with AI right now. So you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been a huge fan of ChatGPT and I've been using it for over a year for a lot of different things, both professionally and personally. I even asked it to create a vacation plan for me and my husband. Like, it can do just about anything, which is awesome. You know, I shared our work back Excel doc that we have that was created in 2012, which was well before AI was on the scene. But you can do something very similar now in ChatGPT. And one of the ways I love using it is just asking it, throwing in a prompt that is something like to create work back plans. And I would type into ChatGPT, I'm going to be very specific and share with you, create a work back plan for a sponsored breakfast at a conference that includes deliverables from the sponsor for branding, creation of branding elements throughout the event, and communications to attendees. The date of the event is XYZ, include post-event items as well, like wrap-ups with the sponsor. So that's the prompt you enter in, and it spits out like a bulleted list of 10 weeks before, do this thing, you know, 5 weeks before, do this thing. And it's a really great starting point. Sometimes it doesn't quite get it right. You gotta zhuzh it just a little bit, but it helps with creating those work back plans. I've done it for AV production. I've done it for sponsorships. Like I said, you know, you can do a full on work back plan. It knows information. It's scary and awesome all at the same time. So I've also asked it, you know, to put that into a table so it's not just a bulleted list, but it looks a little prettier, and maybe assign a role between an event manager or specialist or the customer or the sales team, and it'll also assign those out. Again, it may not be perfect. You may need to use it just a little bit, but it's a great starting point. So definitely check it out for work back plans. And then a creative way we've been using AI right now is I've used it to create voice of God or intro scripts, you know, as we have our big in-person events and please welcome to the stage, so-and-so. I wanted to make sure we had a little bit of a different cadence and it wasn't always please welcome to the stage, name, title, company. And so I gave it a prompt of give me 20 voice of God intros, you know, with these things. And it was pretty good. And then even to bump it up a little bit, we used AI, not ChatGPT, but we used AI to create the actual voice of God's. And that was through, it's play.ht is the website. That's the URL, play.ht, like hat tip. And they're pretty realistic, which is, again, a little scary, but totally awesome. And you can select men or women's voices or dialects. And it's pretty fun to play around with. It's free on that website. So if you just want it to go say your name 100 times, go play with it and check it out. Yeah.
I love that. Good tip. Good tip. Danielle, I might be a little biased, but I know you're also doing some cool things with AI. So what you want to share with us how you guys are using some tools?
Yeah. So I will first, I'll piggyback off Karen. Chat GPT lives on my screen, rent free. It just stays there. And so things I've used it for is to create, post event surveys. I use it for speaker and influencer researching and come up with a list of names for me to at least start with. It's currently helping me out with, figuring out the title for the series I'm getting ready to do next year. So it's awesome. But aside from that, I am not trying to be salesy. I promise I am not getting paid by Goldcast to be here in any way, but I'm 100% using their new feature, the Content Lab. So it's an AI-based program that helps me create video snippets, blogs, emails, social media posts in literally just seconds. I would love to sit here and say I'm an amazing content person, but I'm just not there yet without the help of AI. So I've been playing around with it. I've definitely been using it to build videos. I'm introducing it to all my teams, and because it instantly has given us access to so much more, to so many assets, we're really trying to figure out, and we're having meetings currently on how we can build a cadence and using these assets that the Content Lab is providing us. I can't take over social media. They won't let me, but what's the proper cadence on when it makes sense to, take these snippets and put it on social media? Can we start using it for our follow-up emails to make it more tailored to that particular webinar instead of the template that we use for all of them, for bandwidth reasons? Can we use it for our blogs? When should we use it for our blogs? So we're working through that part of it, but we have it now easily in our hands with the Content Lab. So that's where my AI energy has been going.
Girl, let me tell you, it is like my new best friend. I can't even tell you how much time it saves. It's just so much easier.
It's amazing.
It's so great.
Yeah, it really is. It's gold, guys. It's gold.
Awesome. Well, let's get just one final question, in terms again of how you guys are currently, thinking about AI and how are you using it to help you with your jobs or your programs, any noticeable impact in terms of how things have been performing, how has it impacted your overall event experience and how you're engaging your audience? So Danielle, actually I'll start with you on this one.
So this is kind of going to continue from my last answer. Using that Content Lab really empowers me. Like I said, I'm not a video editor, I'm not a content pro, but I know enough to be able to use this feature and deliver great access. So, at the moment, we're really focused on the post-event usage of it and trying to extend its life cycle with our virtual event content. We've been looking into the blog posts and we want to use the video snippets to really continue to push attendees to our on-demand hub, which I definitely think could be performing better. And so we haven't been doing it enough to see the hardcore data, but I'm really confident that, we've seen data that people like videos, they like GIFs, right? So if we use that data to align with this data, the snippets are going to really help push and continue to push traffic to our on-demand videos.
Yeah. Awesome. Karen, how about you?
Yeah, specifically for the planners, this is less about the audience, but for those of us putting on the events, just using Chat GPT or AI to create a starting point for you for those work back plans or your marketing emails. Just don't feel like you have to start from scratch. There are definitely resources out there that can help you, especially in making sure that tasks aren't forgotten about too. So, jump in, use it. I've actually used Chat GPT to write some marketing emails. And what's really cool is you can give it all the details and it'll write what I would say is a traditional marketing email, but you can get really crazy with it and say, okay, now write it in a FOMO tone. And it's pretty cool to see how it changes from that first one that's very logistical focused, which I think a lot of event marketers do, to that FOMO where it's like, oh gosh, don't miss out on this, but it's still delivering all of the same detail. Another one is present this in a storytelling mode.
Yeah.
And so it changes up the email. So play with those prompts a little bit and just get in there and do it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you guys, ladies, Awesome day, awesome webinar. Thank you so much for being here. I mean, you guys have provided so much great information and takeaways for us. And I am definitely going to take some of the things you guys have suggested and apply it to me for next year. So I'm gonna let you know now, I'm still in some of those ideas, but I loved it. But definitely, you know, obviously, folks, we shared your LinkedIn, guys. I know we weren't able to get to all of your questions. I think I saw some of them being answered in the Q&A tab. But if we weren't able to get to your questions, we will try and do so afterwards. But I'm sure Danielle, Karen, I'm sure you don't mind folks reaching out to you directly if they want to hear more or get a little bit more information from you. So thank you both again for being here. It was so wonderful, so much fun. So Karen, Danielle, thank you. Happy holidays. Danielle, again, happy belated birthday. And we hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
great.
again.
Awesome. And then for everybody else, you know, again, thank you for joining us today. A couple of quick announcements. So if you recall, Lindsay had mentioned in her video that we do have a fun holiday bash coming up, Frosty Fest. So definitely encourage you guys, you know, join us. It's next Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have a live DJ. We're going to have all these amazing prizes. So definitely make sure you guys sign up, you know, bring your team, your family, and just come hang out with us for an hour and just have a good time. Secondly, as I mentioned, we do have some winners to announce. So for the $50 Amazon gift card, our winners are Alana Bear and Rebecca Curie. So huge congratulations to the both of you. I will be following up after the event with a link to your gift cards. And with that, again, people, thank you so much for joining us today. Happy holidays, and we'll see you in the new year. Bye.